You see, Rabotai, what Rabbi Yisrael Misalan told us here, and what the Chazon Ish is mentioning, is that often we are all very careful in our avodat Hashem, in our servitude of Hashem, to keep kosher, to watch a shiur, to do all types of things. But when it comes to relations with other people, we take those things for granted, and in fact, we get used to the sins. This is the area we have to work on. This is the area we have to work on, because in the name of that teshuva that you're doing, that chizuk that you're doing, all the different things that you're doing to elevate yourself, you're not going to be able to survive without making yourself holier. Simply not going to survive. Now, of course, you can continue, if you think that you're ready for war, you can continue reading what the Arizal wrote and what the Rabbi Chaim Vital wrote, where he says you want to make yourself more pure. You have to have pure thoughts. You have to have Emunah Tmimah, which is simple Emunah, blind faith, toil in Torah, which are all things you have to do. But there are other things that you not only have to do, but you need to do in order to survive the status that you're already in the first place. And that's your relationship with other people. You see, many times, you see that you are on a straight path to get yourself holier, do more stuff, do more good. And what ends up happening is that you see that some parts of your family and peers and so on, they're really not doing it. In fact, some of them are staying behind. Some are simply careless. And what ends up happening is that if you don't watch yourself, you start canceling people out. My cousin, he's a rasha. My son, he's a piece of garbage. My wife, she's this, she's that. You just cancel people out. Why? Because they don't see what you see. They don't see the truth like you see. So what do? You just abandon them. That's not the good way to do it. That's not what we teach. The people that we tell you to run away from are not people that simply sin. Everyone sins, including you before you did teshuva, including you after teshuva. Everyone sins. En tzaddik shelo yichta. Everyone sins. No one's saying to just cancel out people because they sin and be the judge and jury of society. Because he sins, I'm simply never going to talk to him again. No. If he sins, that makes him a human being. It makes him a human being. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it makes him a human being. Your job as a fellow Jew is to try to bring him along. And you say, but he doesn't want to. Fine, try again. And again, and again. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent you several people and several videos and several CDs and several opportunities until he finally got you to do teshuva and get closer to Hashem. Don't be so selfish and so self-centered to think that, listen, I'm on the path and that's it, I'm just going to leave everybody behind. Because what ends up happening is that a person starts doing teshuva and he starts hating everybody else around him. His parents, his kids, his wife, the husband. Everybody hates that's not like them. And it's not fair and it's not right and it's not derech Torah. You have to understand that sometimes people are sinning not because they hate God, but simply because they don't know God. They don't know what's required of them. And after you've learned all of the things about the Erev Rav and the misteachings that they're getting, you have to also understand that as long as they are not going against you, where they're not trying to cool you off, you actually have a responsibility to warm them up. But if they have a trait in themselves of Amalek, of Erev Rav, where they don't want you to be religious, and in fact, they try to cool you off, they try to send you to church, they try to get you to marry someone that's not Jewish, they try to get you to do all types of things that are against the Torah. I'm not talking about not being supportive, I'm talking about being against it, then of course you have to run away from them. But if they're simply ignorant, but they're supportive, like, listen, you do you, and I'm just going to continue with me, you actually have a responsibility to help that person and be patient with them. It's part of your own servitude of Hashem. You can't just abandon society thinking that you're going to become Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in a cave. Now again, this is not from day one. In the beginning, you have to work on yourself to get yourself strong enough before you help others. And generally speaking, I always tell people, help others indirectly, not directly, by giving them CDs, invite them to lectures. Don't spend so much time talking yourself because you still haven't learned enough. But nonetheless, don't be a lone soldier simply abandoning your society and thinking that the world doesn't exist. Try to stay in touch, but from afar, from a distance. I'm not saying stay in the same community, in the same house, with the same bad roommates. Move on, get married, do what you got to do, and, obviously live a religious Jewish life, but stay. Send an email, send a text message from time to time. Try to help the people that are in the past get to a point of seeing what you see in the present. Try to get those people. Don't just cancel them out. The same thing goes with parents. Many times you have parents, they're religious, they keep everything, and they see that one of their sons or daughters decides that they don't want Torah anymore. They want to go and make sins. Usually, their reason why they leave Torah is because, number one, they don't know much of it. They've been taught the wrong way. And number two, they have desires, usually immorality, sex, and the likes, if you will. That's what leads people to go off the derech. It's not the right way for parents to just simply disown them and say Kaddish, and that's it, that kid doesn't exist to me anymore. That's not the right way. First and foremost, you're teaching your other kids to simply, anyone that doesn't go our way, died. That's not the right way. Why? Because if God treated you that way every time you sinned, guess what? You would never be able to do Teshuva in the first place. And you're also teaching your kids that forgiveness is not part of Judaism, which is the exact opposite. To teach that forgiveness is not part of Judaism is actually a character trait of the Erev Rav. The Erev Rav doesn't have mercy. So the key is, yes, you have to understand that there is a child, chas v'shalom, but there is a child, there is a bad apple, there's a kid that's not following the halacha. But as long as that kid is not trying to influence the other kids to go his way or her way that's against the Torah, you have to try to get that kid to spend more time with you and influence him to get back. Even if that means that you have to play along a little bit and talk about things you don't really want to talk about. Socialize with him in a way that you don't really want to socialize with him. Go to the park instead of going to the kollel. Talk to him about, some sport that he wants to talk about instead of talking about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Why? Because again, you're trying to keep that kid from going too far. That's exactly what Yitzchak Avinu did with Esav. He knew Esav wasn't good. A blind person knew Esav wasn't good. Everybody knew Esav wasn't good. But Yitzchak loved Esav, meaning he spent a lot of time with him so he doesn't get worse. Had he let him go, he would have gotten much worse. So, as long as that kid does not have the traits of the Erev Rav, the Amalek that want to destroy Am Yisrael, he's not one of these people that has websites against the Torah and against the rabbis, against everything, and he just simply has desires, try to keep him closer. I would say even spend more time with him than you spend with the other kids that are doing better. Why? He needs more help. He needs more help. She needs more help. Why? Because obviously they're spiritually injured. They're spiritually injured. Try to find out what's going on. Now, if you don't have the time because of all the worries that you have in life, find somebody that does and pay them as much as you possibly can to get them to do the job. Why? Because if you don't, somebody else is going to give him that attention. And that somebody else could be the Erev Rav itself. That somebody else could be the Amalek itself. So it's important for people to know that although we speak against the Erev Rav, the bad people, that's not everybody that sins. The ones that we generally focus on are the people that cause other people to sin. The ones that go against the Torah for their own agendas. The ones that have a special mission to destroy Judaism. What ends up happening sometimes when you abandon kids that or different people that don't really have a bad agenda, but they just don't understand what obligation they have in the world. They got taught some Care Bear Judaism where there's no real consequences. And they decide that they don't want to keep Shabbat anymore. And all of a sudden their parents wake up, oh, how could you do this to us? He's not doing it to you. It has nothing to do with you. He's doing it for himself. He doesn't know why you're keeping Shabbat in the first place. Why? Because you keep Shabbat, but then you go to a baseball game and you go to a casino and you steal in your business. So it doesn't match in his head, which he's right. It doesn't match. He sees that you're a hypocrite, so he doesn't want to be a hypocrite. So he doesn't want to keep Shabbat. To just abandon that kid, you know what you're going to do? You abandon that kid, you're going to turn him into an Erev Rav. In many cases. Why? Because now, he not only saw the hypocrisy that led him to where he was, to leave it all, but now he sees that it's not only hypocritical, it's evil. You just abandoned me just because I don't have the same beliefs as you? Now he's going to hate Judaism. And that's actually what happens many times. Many times those people that create these websites that are against the Torah, it's not only because they never learned the right way, but they actually learned things that are the opposite of the right way from the people that they trusted the most, the people they relied on the most. So it was a double whammy. All of it coming from the same Satan and his wife. You have to be very careful to know that when it comes to the Torah, you don't just treat the rules that you like as the most important, but rather you have to look at every rule in the Torah as if it's the most important. You have to celebrate every single part of the Torah as if it's the most important. We learned from the Gemara, Abaye celebrates. You see him happy in the Gemara. He says, why are you happy, Abaye? He says, I'm putting on tefillin. Chachamim say Abaye would celebrate on everyday mitzvah, tefillin, like as if he won $1 million. The Arizal says that's the way to serve Hashem if you want to arrive and get to any real spiritual status. You have to celebrate, but every mitzvah, not just the ones that you like and it's easy for you and so on. Even more so when it has to do with personal relationships. Many times people simply care less about personal relationships that don't agree with them. Sometimes it's with a rabbi that tells them something they don't like. Okay, he's a bad rabbi. Even though he's a good rabbi, he just told you something that's truthful that you don't like. Sometimes it's a parent. You don't like the parent. Why don't you like the parent? The parent doesn't let me do what I want to do. Okay, but maybe they're right. Sometimes it's a partner in business. No, this guy's up. Every curse under the sun. Why? What happened? No, he wants 55% of the partnership. Okay, but does he deserve 55%? That doesn't matter. I deserve also. Wait, hold on. Why don't we look at the actual fact? Maybe he does deserve 55% and not 45%. Well, maybe he does. Automatically, everybody turns into a bad. No, that's not the way of Judaism. There are bad people. There's no question about it, and unfortunately, there's a lot of them. But not everybody that disagrees with you is bad. You can't just cancel out people, especially when it comes to relationships, Rabotai.